"Don't tell my father," the virgin whispered. "Rich Cowboy bit her neck, chose her forever." The morning sun had just started to cast golden light over the small rural town, where dust rose slowly from the dirt roads and the faint smell of hay mixed with the scent of breakfast being cooked in small kitchens. In one of the houses at the edge of town, a young woman named Lily was already awake. She moved quietly, careful not to wake her father. Her life had always been under his watchful eye, and she knew that any misstep could lead to a lecture, or worse, a punishment. Lily was gentle, kind, and responsible, but she also held a quiet curiosity about the world outside her father's protective reach. She dressed carefully, choosing a simple blouse and a skirt that allowed her to move freely. Today was important. There was a small town fair, something that happened only a few times a year. Lily wanted to see it, to walk among people without her father constantly hovering over her. But even as she imagined the freedom, her heart carried a small tension, a mix of excitement and fear. As she stepped out of the house, the wind carried the sounds of laughter and music from the fairgrounds. Children ran with sticky cotton candy, and merchants called out to sell homemade crafts and baked goods. Lily inhaled deeply, feeling a rare thrill of independence. She was careful to stay on the side streets, knowing that her father would be suspicious if he saw her slipping away from the main path. It was near the edge of the fair, where the crowd thinned and the noise softened, that she first saw him. The cowboy was standing by the fence of a large ranch that bordered the town. He was tall, broad-shouldered, and wore clothes that were simple yet clearly expensive, a mark of someone used to wealth but also to work. His hat shadowed his face, but Lily could see sharp eyes that seemed to notice everything around him. There was a confidence in the way he stood, yet a calmness that was unusual in men she had seen in her small town. Their eyes met for only a brief moment, but it was enough. Something stirred deep inside her, a feeling she did not yet understand. He tipped his hat slightly and gave a small nod, and Lily felt her heart beat faster than she ever had before. She quickly turned her gaze away, afraid that lingering might cause trouble if someone saw her. Yet, curiosity tugged at her. Who was this man who seemed so out of place, yet so familiar in the way he commanded attention without speaking? Over the next few days, Lily found herself thinking of him more than she wanted to admit. She kept seeing him in her mind, walking along the edge of the fair, leaning on the fence, and the faint smile that had appeared when their eyes met. She knew it was foolish. She barely knew him, and her father would never allow her to even speak with someone like him. But still, the thought of him brought warmth to her chest, a thrill that was both exciting and terrifying. One evening, as the sun dipped behind the hills, painting the sky in shades of orange and pink, Lily found herself near the ranch again. She had taken a walk to clear her mind, telling her father she was helping a neighbor. Her steps were light, careful, almost cautious. The path led her to the same spot where she had seen him at the fair. This time he was closer, sitting on the fence with his hat tipped back. He seemed to have been waiting, though, for what, she could not tell. When he noticed her, he gave a small wave, and for a moment, Lily froze. Her heart raced, and she felt a strange mixture of fear and excitement. Yet, instead of turning away, she found herself walking a little closer. "You come here often?" he asked, his voice deep but not harsh. There was a gentle curiosity in it that made her feel slightly at ease. Lily shook her head, her fingers twisting nervously in front of her. I was just walking," she said softly. She felt her cheeks warm, wishing she could hide from him, yet also wanting to stay. "I see," he said, leaning back slightly. "I'm Jake," he added, giving her a more genuine smile. There was a warmth in that smile, something that made Lily feel safer, even though she barely knew him. "I'm Lily," she replied, her voice barely above a whisper. She kept her eyes down, but she could feel him watching her, studying her in a way that made her heart flutter. There was a silence, not uncomfortable but heavy with unspoken words. Jake seemed to sense her hesitation, and he didn't push. He simply looked at her with a soft intensity, as if he wanted her to understand that he meant no harm. Finally, Lily took a deep breath. "Please, watch. Don't tell my father," she whispered, almost pleading. I can't have him knowing." Jake's gaze softened, and he nodded slowly. "I won't," he said. "I promise." His words carried a weight that made Lily feel strangely reassured. There was a strength in his promise, a sense of protection that she had never known before. They began meeting in secret, though cautiously. At first, their conversations were simple. Talk about the town, about small things they noticed, about life on the ranch. Lily learned that Jake was not just wealthy but hard-working, someone who understood the value of effort and respect. He didn't flaunt his wealth or status. He simply lived with a quiet confidence that drew people in. For Lily, these meetings became a breath of fresh air. Each encounter allowed her to step outside the rigid rules of her life, to explore feelings she had never dared to acknowledge. She felt excitement, joy, and even a sense of freedom. Yet there was always a shadow of fear, the constant reminder of her father's disapproval, which made every meeting bittersweet. One evening, as the sky turned a deep violet and stars began to appear, Jake and Lily found themselves at their usual spot near the fence. The air was cooler now, and a gentle breeze carried the scent of the nearby fields. They spoke softly, their words almost blending with the rustle of leaves and the distant call of an owl. Jake reached out, not touching her, but close enough that Lily could feel the warmth from his hand. "You don't have to be afraid here," he said gently. "I won't let anyone hurt you." She wanted to believe him completely, but the fear of her father's wrath made her hesitate. "I know," she whispered. "It's just complicated." He nodded, understanding. "I get it," he said. "But I just want you to know that I care, Lily. I care more than I can say." Her chest tightened at his words. She had never felt such intensity, such a strong pull toward someone. It was thrilling and terrifying all at once. She wanted to lean into it, to feel the safety and warmth he offered, but she also knew the dangers of giving her trust too freely. For the first time in her life, Lily felt a conflict between fear and desire, between obedience and the longing to follow her heart. It was confusing, intoxicating, and new. Every glance, every soft word from Jake made her feel alive in a way that she had never experienced before. As the night deepened, they parted reluctantly, each stepping back into their own world but carrying the memory of the other. Lily returned home, careful to enter quietly, her mind racing with thoughts of the evening. Jake stayed by the fence a little longer, watching her disappear, thinking about her as well. He was drawn to her honesty, her courage, and the innocence that made her different from anyone he had ever met. The days that followed were filled with secret glances and whispered conversations. Each meeting brought them closer, yet the risk of discovery lingered like a shadow. Lily felt the thrill of their growing connection, but also the tension of living a secret life. She knew she had to be careful, yet she could not resist the pull she felt toward Jake. Even in her quietest moments, when she thought she was alone, her thoughts returned to him. She imagined his smile, the warmth of his voice, the way he made her feel seen and valued. For someone who had always lived under strict rules, this was revolutionary. She was beginning to understand that love, desire, and connection could exist even in a world that felt confined and controlled. And so, as the first part of their story came to a close, both Lily and Jake knew that something had begun that neither could ignore. It was fragile, dangerous, and full of possibility. And as the sun rose the next morning over the small town, it carried with it the promise of new meetings, new secrets, and a bond that was only just beginning to take shape. The days passed slowly in the small town, each one bringing Lily back to the thought of Jake. Even though she tried to keep her mind focused on chores, her father, and her daily routines, her heart constantly wandered to him. She would catch herself imagining his smile, the way his eyes held a quiet strength, and the gentle way he had spoken to her during their secret meetings. It was a feeling that both thrilled and terrified her. Jake, too, was thinking about Lily more than he would admit. He had met many people in his life, but there was something different about her. She had a quiet courage, a kindness, and a softness that called to him in a way no one else had. It was not just attraction. It was a pull he could not resist. Every time he thought about her, he felt a protective warmth and a desire to be near her, to share life with her, even if it meant treading carefully around her father. One evening, the golden light of sunset stretched over the hills, casting long shadows across the fields. Lily had finished her chores and slipped quietly from the house, making her way to the old fence where she knew Jake might be. Her heart was pounding, not only from the risk of being caught, but also from the anticipation of seeing him. She wanted to talk, to hear his voice, to feel that sense of safety and excitement she always felt in his presence. When she arrived, Jake was already there, leaning casually against the fence. He looked up as she approached, and his eyes lit with a quiet joy. "You came," he said simply, but there was warmth in his voice that made Lily's heart flutter. I couldn't stay away," she admitted softly, keeping her gaze on the ground. The air between them was filled with the sounds of the evening, rustling leaves, distant birds, and the faint hum of the town in the distance. Jake smiled and gestured for her to sit beside him on the fence. She hesitated for a moment, then climbed carefully. Sitting next to him, she felt the closeness that had begun to stir feelings she could no longer ignore. It was safe, yet electric, and every moment seemed to stretch longer than it should. They talked quietly at first, about simple things, the weather, the changing seasons, and the life of the town. But gradually, their words became more personal. Lily found herself sharing small secrets about her dreams, her hopes, and even her fears. For the first time, she felt someone was truly listening, someone who understood parts of her she had kept hidden, even from herself. Jake listened carefully, never interrupting, his presence calm and reassuring. When she spoke of her father, his expression softened. "You're very brave," he said gently. "It's not easy to live under such strict rules and still hold your own." Lily's heart skipped a beat at his words. She was used to obedience and caution, but Jake's acknowledgement of her courage made her feel valued. I try," she said softly, "but sometimes it feels like I can't do anything without him noticing. It's like I have no space to be myself." "You have space with me," Jake said quietly. "Here, you can be yourself, and no one will judge you or try to control you. I want you to feel safe." There was a pause, heavy with unspoken emotions. Lily's heart thudded loudly in her chest as she considered the weight of his words. Safe. For her, that was a feeling she had rarely experienced. Her life had been filled with rules, caution, and fear of disappointing her father. To have someone offer safety, protection, and understanding felt like a dream she wasn't sure she deserved. For a while they just sat together, listening to the evening sounds, the silence filled with the quiet comfort of companionship. But as the sun dipped further below the horizon, the tension between them grew, subtle but undeniable. Jake shifted slightly, careful not to invade her space, yet close enough that she could feel the warmth radiating from him. Lily's hands trembled slightly as she clutched the edge of the fence. She wanted to lean closer, to feel that connection more deeply. But a small voice of caution whispered in her mind. Her father. The consequences. The risk. But another, stronger voice, the one in her heart, urged her forward, to explore the feelings she could no longer ignore. "I like being here with you," she whispered, almost afraid to speak. Her eyes met his briefly, and she saw a softness there, a reflection of her own longing. "I like it too," Jake said, his voice low and steady. "More than I can explain." The words hung in the air between them, and for a moment, time seemed to stand still. Lily felt her chest tighten, the mixture of fear, excitement, and desire swirling inside her. It was new, intense, and overwhelming. She had never felt so connected to someone, and the realization both thrilled and scared her. Jake noticed her hesitation and reached out gently, brushing a loose strand of hair from her face. His fingers lingered near her cheek, warm and comforting. "You don't have to be afraid," he said softly. "I'm not going anywhere. I care about you, Lily." Truly. Her heart melted at his words. She wanted to believe him completely, to let herself lean into the warmth and protection he offered. But she also knew the risks of trusting too easily, of stepping too far outside the boundaries her father had set. She swallowed hard, trying to steady her racing heart. I want to trust you," she whispered. "I really do, but I'm scared." Jake nodded, understanding completely. "I know," he said, "and I won't rush you. You'll know when the time is right. Until then, I'll be here, quietly, always." As the stars began to appear in the sky, casting a soft glow over the fields, Lily felt a strange mixture of peace and tension. She had never experienced a connection like this before, one that was both comforting and electrifying. Every word, every glance, every subtle movement between them seemed to deepen the bond they were forming. In the following days, they continued to meet secretly, always careful, always cautious. Their conversations grew deeper, moving beyond simple topics to their dreams, fears, and hopes for the future. Lily learned about Jake's life on the ranch, his responsibilities, and the challenges he faced running a large property. He shared stories of his childhood, of lessons learned from hard work and perseverance. She, in turn, shared her own experiences, the struggles of growing up under strict guidance, and the quiet moments of longing for freedom and independence. Each revelation brought them closer, creating a bond that was more than attraction. It was trust, understanding, and a growing affection that neither could deny. One evening, as they sat together watching the sunset, Jake leaned slightly closer. "You know," he said softly, "there's something about you that draws me in. I don't know what it is, but I can't stop thinking about you." She felt the pull too, the same undeniable attraction, yet the fear of her father's reaction made her hesitate. "Jake," she whispered, almost pleading, I don't know if we should. It's too risky." He nodded slowly, his gaze never leaving hers. "I understand."
"But you need to know something. I'm not just interested in a moment, Lily.
I want to be with you. Truly."
"And I'll wait, no matter what it takes." She had never known someone to care so deeply, to be willing to be patient and respectful. It was overwhelming, comforting, and frightening, all at once. As the evening grew darker, they finally parted, each retreating to their own homes, but neither could stop thinking about the other. Lily's mind was filled with images of Jake's gentle smile, his protective presence, and the warmth she felt when he was near. Jake in turn replayed every detail of their conversations, every glance, every touch, feeling a growing certainty that he had found someone extraordinary. The secret meetings continued, and with each encounter, the bond between them grew stronger. Lily began to understand her own heart, realizing that the feelings she had tried to ignore were real and powerful. She was falling for Jake, deeply and completely, and though fear lingered, it could no longer hold her back entirely. One evening, as the night sky stretched wide and filled with stars, Jake reached out and gently touched Lily's hand. The gesture was simple, yet it carried all the weight of his care, his desire, and his respect. Lily felt a shiver run through her, a mixture of excitement and nervousness. She knew that this connection was growing beyond simple friendship, beyond cautious attraction. It was becoming something much deeper, something neither of them could ignore. I want you to know something," Jake said softly, his voice barely above a whisper. "I care about you, Lily, more than I can explain, and I want to be with you, no matter what challenges come our way." She wanted to believe him completely, to surrender to the warmth and safety he offered. I want that too," she whispered. "But we have to be careful. My father—" Jake nodded, understanding the unspoken fears and dangers. "We will be careful," he promised. "But you need to know, Lily, that I'm choosing you. You are important to me, and I will protect you." For the first time, Lily felt a sense of certainty in the midst of fear. She realized that love, trust, and connection could exist even in a world filled with rules and risks. And as they parted that night, both felt the quiet thrill of a bond growing stronger, a connection that neither could ignore, a promise that something extraordinary was beginning. The days that followed were filled with a quiet tension that neither Lily nor Jake could ignore. The secret meetings had become the highlight of their lives, but with each passing day, the risk of discovery grew. Lily's father had started noticing subtle changes in her behavior, longer walks, absent-minded smiles, and small excuses that didn't quite add up. He was a man of intuition, and even without knowing the details, he sensed something was unfolding. Lily tried to remain careful, avoiding any direct confrontation, but it was becoming increasingly difficult. Every time she saw Jake, her heart raced, and her mind felt torn between desire and caution. She had never experienced emotions so strong, so consuming, and she realized that she was falling deeper than she had expected. Jake, meanwhile, was growing more protective. He had seen the subtle signs of her father's suspicion, and though he had promised to wait patiently, he could not ignore the thought of someone else controlling her life. He wanted to be a source of safety and comfort, but he also felt a need to assert that he was serious about their connection. One afternoon, Lily found herself near the ranch earlier than usual. The sun was high, casting sharp shadows across the fields, and the air carried the scent of freshly cut grass. She was nervous, her heart beating faster than normal, but she felt a pull she could not resist. Jake was waiting near the old oak tree at the edge of the ranch. His presence was calm, reassuring, and yet there was a strength in the way he stood, a quiet confidence that made Lily feel both safe and alive. "You came early," he said with a small smile. "Is everything okay?" Lily hesitated, twisting her hands nervously. I just wanted to see you," she admitted softly. Her eyes darted around, checking for anyone who might notice her. I feel like my father is starting to suspect something. I don't want him to know about us." "I understand," he said. "We'll be careful." "I promise," But you also need to know something. My feelings for you aren't small. I care about you, Lily, more than I can put into words." Her heart ached at his words. She wanted to believe him fully, to let herself feel the warmth and protection he offered, but fear lingered. She knew the risks, yet she also knew that the connection between them was growing too strong to ignore. For a while they simply sat together under the shade of the oak tree, listening to the sounds of the ranch, the distant lowing of cows, the soft clatter of tools in the barn, and the whisper of the wind through the leaves. The quiet comfort of his presence gave her a sense of peace, a momentary escape from the tension of her daily life. Lily spoke about her dreams, the life she imagined beyond the watchful eyes of her father, and the small ways she longed for freedom. Jake listened intently, never interrupting, his gaze steady and kind. He asked questions, gently encouraging her to express herself, and each answer brought them closer together. "You're brave," Jake said softly. "Not just because you meet me here in secret, but because you think about life beyond what you're told. You have a strength that most people don't even realize." Lily felt her cheeks warm. I don't know if I'm brave," she whispered. "Sometimes I feel scared all the time. I'm afraid of disappointing my father, of making mistakes, of losing you."
"You won't lose me," Jake said, his voice steady and sincere. "I'm not going anywhere."
"I want to be with you, and I'll do whatever it takes to protect that." Her chest tightened at his words. She had never felt such reassurance, such a sense of being valued and cared for. The connection between them was undeniable, growing stronger with every meeting, every word, every glance. She wanted to lean into it, to embrace the feelings that were blossoming inside her. Yet caution held her back. The next few weeks were a delicate dance of secrecy and desire. They met in hidden corners of the ranch, in quiet fields, and near the edge of the forest where no one could see them. Each encounter carried a mixture of excitement and tension. Every shared smile, gentle touch, or fleeting look deepened their bond. Yet the awareness of danger never fully left them. Lily could feel her father's suspicion growing, and Jake could sense the subtle pressures of her life weighing on her. One evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon and painted the sky in shades of orange and pink, they found themselves alone in a quiet meadow. The soft glow of twilight surrounded them, and the air was filled with the gentle hum of nature. Lily felt a mixture of fear and anticipation as she stood beside Jake, their shoulders nearly touching. "I don't know how much longer we can keep this secret," she whispered, her voice trembling slightly. "I don't want to disappoint my father, but I can't ignore how I feel about you." Jake reached out, gently taking her hand in his. The warmth of his touch sent a shiver through her. "Lily," he said softly, "I know it's not easy, but what we have, it's real. And I want you to know that I'm serious about us. I choose you. I want to be with you, no matter what comes." Her heart leapt at his words. She wanted to believe him completely, to surrender to the feelings that had grown too strong to contain. She took a deep breath, leaning slightly closer, and felt the subtle warmth of his presence. For the first time, she allowed herself to imagine a life where she could be with him openly, without fear or hesitation. The air around them seemed to thrum with tension, a quiet electricity that neither could ignore. Jake's gaze softened, and he moved slightly closer, careful to respect her boundaries while still closing the distance. Lily felt her chest tighten, a mixture of excitement and nervousness coursing through her. I want this," she whispered almost to herself. "I want us, but I'm scared." Jake nodded, his thumb brushing gently over her hand. "I know. he said softly. It's okay to be scared, but you don't have to face it alone. I'm here, Lily. I'll always be here. For a moment they simply stood together, hands intertwined, hearts racing, feeling the intensity of their emotions without needing words. It was a connection that was growing stronger with each passing day, a bond that neither could deny or resist. As twilight deepened into night, they finally parted, reluctantly but with a shared understanding. Each returned to their separate worlds, yet neither could stop thinking about the other. Lily's thoughts were filled with Jake's words, his gentle touch, and the promise of protection and care. Jake, in turn, carried the memory of her smile, her soft voice, and the growing certainty that she was someone extraordinary, someone he could not imagine being without. The following days brought both excitement and tension. Lily's father had grown more suspicious, questioning her about her walks and her errands. She carefully evaded his questions, aware that any slip could reveal her secret. Jake, too, felt the pressure of discretion, but he remained patient, knowing that the trust and bond they were building could not be rushed. One afternoon, as they met near a quiet part of the ranch, Jake gently guided Lily to sit on a fallen log. Surrounded by the soft rustling of leaves and the distant chirping of birds, the conversation turned personal again, deeper than before. They spoke of their hopes, their fears, and the ways they imagined their lives could be together. You make me feel safe, Lily whispered, her eyes glistening. Even when I'm scared, I feel peace with you. Jake smiled, his hand brushing a strand of hair from her face. That's how you make me feel too, he said softly. You bring out a side of me I didn't know existed. A side that cares, protects, and loves more than I thought I could. Her heart raced at his words. She wanted to believe them fully, to embrace the emotions that had grown too strong to deny. The connection between them was undeniable, growing deeper with every passing moment. She felt a mixture of fear, excitement, and longing, an emotional storm that she could no longer contain. As night fell and the stars emerged, they finally parted, each carrying the weight of their growing emotions. Lily returned home, careful to remain unseen, her mind filled with thoughts of Jake. She knew that the path ahead was filled with challenges, that secrecy and caution would always be necessary, but she also knew that what they shared was real and worth the risk. Jake, standing under the starlit sky, thought of Lily and the bond that was forming. He knew that the challenges were only beginning, that her father's protection and societal expectations would create obstacles, but he also knew that his feelings were unwavering. He had chosen her, and nothing could change that. And so, as Part 3 drew to a close, both Lily and Jake felt the growing tension of desire, secrecy, and the thrill of a bond that was deepening with every passing day. They were no longer just two people meeting in secret. They were becoming something more, something real, something that neither could ignore. The journey was only beginning, and the challenges ahead would test their courage, their trust, and their hearts. But one thing was certain: the connection between them had grown too strong to deny, and the promise of love was becoming impossible to resist. The morning sun rose over the small town with a warm golden glow, but Lily did not feel the calm that the sunlight promised. Her heart was pounding, and a nervous tension gripped her chest. Over the past weeks, the secret meetings with Jake had grown more frequent, more intimate, and more intense. She had begun to realize just how deeply she cared for him, and she feared what her father would think if he discovered the truth. Her father had been watching her more closely than ever. He noticed every small deviation from her routine, every late return, and every small excuse she offered. He was a protective man, guided by love but strict in his rules, and he would not allow anyone to manipulate or distract his daughter without careful scrutiny. Lily knew that the moment of reckoning was approaching. That afternoon, she decided to meet Jake one last time before the tension became unbearable. She needed to see him, to feel the reassurance of his presence, even if only for a short while. She slipped quietly from the house, careful not to attract attention. The path to the ranch felt longer than usual, each step heavy with anticipation and fear. Jake was waiting under the shade of the old oak tree, the place where so many of their secret conversations had occurred. He looked up as she approached, a gentle smile touching his lips. "Lily," he said softly, "you came?" "I had to," she whispered, her voice trembling slightly.
I need to see you, even if it's just for a moment."
He stood and opened his arms slightly, careful not to overwhelm her, giving her the choice to come closer. She stepped forward, feeling a mixture of relief and excitement at being near him. There was a sense of urgency in the air, a knowledge that their secret world could not last forever. "I'm worried about your father," Lily admitted, her eyes downcast. "He's been watching me more closely. I don't know how much longer we can meet like this." Jake took her hands in his gaze firm and reassuring. "Then we'll face it together," he said. "No matter what happens, I'm not going anywhere. I choose you, Lily. Always." Her chest tightened at his words, and for the first time she allowed herself to fully lean into the feeling of safety and love that Jake offered. She had lived her life under fear and restriction, but in his presence, she felt free in a way she had never imagined. Suddenly, the distant sound of a horse's hooves echoed across the field. Lily's heart skipped a beat. Her father had likely noticed her absence and was coming to check on her. She turned to Jake, panic and worry in her eyes. "We have to be careful," she whispered urgently. He's coming." Jake nodded, his grip on her hand firm and reassuring.
Don't worry, he said softly. I'll handle this.
"You just stay close to me." As the figure of her father approached, the tension in the air became almost unbearable. Lily's father stopped a few feet away, his expression stern but not yet angry. He looked from his daughter to Jake, and his eyes narrowed slightly, studying them both carefully. "Lily," he said, his voice calm but serious.
"What's going on here?" Lily felt a shiver run through her. This was the moment she had feared.
She opened her mouth to speak, but no words came. She looked at Jake, who gave her a small, encouraging nod. "Sir," Jake began, his voice steady and respectful, "I care deeply for your daughter. I have no intention of causing her harm. I promise to protect her, respect her, and always be honest with both of you." Her father studied Jake for a long moment, the silence stretching between them. Lily could feel her heart pounding in her chest, fearing his reaction. Finally, he spoke. "You're serious about her?" he asked, his tone softening slightly. "Yes, sir," Jake said firmly. "I'm serious. I want to be with her, to care for her, and to choose her every day if she'll have me." Lily's father looked at her, then back at Jake.
"Lily, is this true?" he asked gently. She nodded, tears welling in her eyes.
"Yes, father. I care about him. And I trust him. Please believe me." For a long moment, her father was silent. Then, slowly, he nodded. "If you choose to be with him, I will respect your choice," he said. "But know that I will be watching. I want to see that you are both serious and respectful of each other." Relief flooded through Lily, and she turned to Jake with a smile. He pulled her into a gentle embrace, holding her close. For the first time, they felt that they could be together without fear, that their love had been acknowledged and given a chance to grow openly. Over the next weeks, Lily and Jake continued to meet, but now without the shadow of fear hanging over them. They could hold hands openly, speak freely, and spend time together without constantly glancing over their shoulders. The bond between them deepened, filled with trust, respect, and the quiet thrill of shared affection. They spent long afternoons walking through the fields, talking about their dreams and plans for the future. Lily shared her aspirations beyond the town, and Jake spoke of his hopes for the ranch and his desire to build a life together. Each conversation strengthened their connection, creating a foundation of love and mutual understanding. One evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon, painting the sky in shades of orange and purple, Jake took Lily's hands in his and looked into her eyes. "Lily," he said softly, "I want to make a promise to you. I choose you. I want to be with you for forever. Will you let me?" Her eyes filled with tears of joy. She had never felt so certain, so safe, and so loved. "Yes, Jake," she whispered. "I choose you too, forever as." Fermented by the soft glow of the sunset, they sealed their promise with a gentle embrace. It was a simple, perfect moment. A promise of love, respect, and devotion that would carry them through the challenges ahead. Word of their relationship soon reached the town, and while there were whispers and curious glances, Lily's father had made his decision. He would support his daughter, trusting in her judgment and in Jake's sincerity. Lily felt a profound sense of relief and freedom, knowing that she could love openly and without fear. As the weeks turned into months, their relationship grew stronger. They faced small challenges together, running errands, attending community events, and navigating the expectations of family and neighbors, but always with trust and communication. Each obstacle only strengthened their bond, proving that their connection was real and enduring. One quiet evening, as they sat under the stars on the ranch, Jake gently brushed a strand of hair from Lily's face.
"You know," he said softly, "I've never met anyone like you. You've changed my life, Lily."
"You've shown me love, trust, and courage in a way I never knew existed." Lily smiled, her heart full. "And you've shown me the same, Jake. You've made me feel safe, cherished, and free. I never knew I could feel this way about anyone." They sat together in silence, feeling the warmth of each other's presence and the quiet comfort of knowing that they had chosen each other. The world around them seemed to fade, leaving only the two of them, connected by a love that was strong, genuine, and unwavering. The future stretched out before them, full of possibilities and promise. They knew there would be challenges, but they were ready to face them together. Lily had gained confidence, independence, and the knowledge that her heart could guide her safely. Jake had found someone who inspired him, someone worth protecting, and someone who loved him for who he truly was. And so, in the small town surrounded by fields and open skies, Lily and Jake's story reached its fulfillment. They had faced fear, secrecy, and doubt, but in the end, love had triumphed. They had chosen each other, not out of convenience or fleeting desire, but out of respect, trust, and a deep, enduring bond. As they walked hand in hand back toward the ranch house, the stars twinkling above, they knew that their journey was only beginning. But this time, they would face it together, free, fearless, and certain that the love they had found was forever. The days that followed were filled with shared laughter, quiet conversations, and the joy of being together openly. Lily's father watched with a mixture of pride and relief, knowing that his daughter had found someone who truly cared for her. And in Jake's steady presence, Lily found a love that was protective, gentle, and unwavering. A love that promised, not just passion, but partnership, respect, and a future built together. And so their story, which had begun with whispers and secret meetings, reached its beautiful and lasting conclusion. They had chosen each other, not in haste or recklessness, but with hearts fully open, minds fully aware, and a promise to honor the trust and love that had grown between them. Together, they stepped into a future bright with hope, joy, and the quiet certainty that they had found something truly rare and extraordinary, a forever love.